This video is going to be another stock chart analysis video and ito yung mga stocks na i-review ko for today. So the date of the recording of this video is September 21, but of course the basis of the candles will be the last trading day this past week. So September 19 yung naging basis ng video na to. Also, apologies in advance if ever magkaroon ng mga disruption sa audio, kung magkaroon ng mga unnecessary noises. Because I'm currently on vacation and the area where I'm recording at is a bit noisy. Tapos, hindi ko dala yung usual gear na ginagamit ko for record. Ang dala ko lang is yung laptop ko and yung wireless mic. So, please bear with me for any inconveniences with regards sa audio. So, without further ado, punta na tayo sa PSEI para sa overall market conditions. So, the last time that I did a stock chart analysis video, September 17 pa. So, ayan yung ating vertical line. So, as mentioned last time, it would be good for the PSEI to break out sa upper part ng downward channel move niya. So, ito kasi yung downward channel move ng PSEI and fortunately, nag-resist siya nung September 17 but on Thursday, nagkaroon na ng breakout and may maayos na follow-through kinabukasan nung September 19. Unfortunately lang, nag-resist yung ME50, no? So, napigilan niya yung price. But still, it's good na nalagpasan na ng PSEI yung downward channel move. So, for me, the downward move is already negated. Ang kailangan niya na lang gawin to confirm this move is for the PSEI to make a consolidation around this area. Tapos, hindi na siya bumalik sa ilalim. Because, as you all know, ever since July and August, yung 6,223 na level is a very valid and key support area. So, hindi natin nagustuhan na nag-breakdown siya doon. Pero at least, no, for this third week ng September, nabawi niya na yung down move na yon. Tapos, na-reclaim niya ulit yung prices near that area. So, okay na rin kahit papano dahil above na ng 6,230. Pero, ayun nga, nagre-resist na yung MA50. And like I said before, hindi naman sobrang optimistic and sobrang bullish pag nakalabas siya sa downward channel because nakaabang na yung mga MA100 at MA50, no? Pero okay na rin because negated na yung downward channel move natin dahil nakalabas siya doon. So, somehow, okay naman yung naging galaw ng PSEI. But definitely, mas gusto natin na makalagpas yung PSEI dito sa mga resistances niya ng mga swing highs, no, na nag-create ng upper part ng downward channel move. So, gusto natin na makalagpas siya sa 6.4 levels and even 6.5, no, para maganda-ganda yung maging galaw ng PSEI moving forward for the rest of the year. So, punta tayo sa unang stock na i-review natin. So, that's AUB. So, for AUB, the last time I reviewed this stock, matagal na. So, halos 1 month na, no? So, August 22, yung naging basis ng last candle. But the next trading day is 26. So, I think I reviewed this stock weekend. So, hanapin nyo na lang sa homepage ng channel yung video ko sa AUB if you want to use it as reference. So, either dated yun ng August 22, 23, 24, or 25. So, yung last time kasi na na-review ko yung AUB, yung support pa nito is this level. And I think I mentioned there na hindi ko pa i-consider as resistance kasi malapit pa siya and nag-hover pa. But eventually, bumigay yung support and pumunta sa ilalim yung stock, no? So, tatanggalin ko na tong consolidation na yan and we're going to make adjustments sa bagong levels ng AUB, no? So, tatanggalin ko tong S1 na support and hahanap tayo ng bagong S1. But I think it's very clear already kung nasaan yung S1 na support na yon. So, meron tayong pinaka-recent na swing low dito, no, sa 41.50. So, eto siya. So, S1. And then, yung S2 natin, dito na sa area na to. So, 40.30. So, yan yung S2. And itong previous low na S2, gagawin ko na tong S3. So, malapit yung mga current supports ng AUB sa isa't isa, no? So, this tells me na a very strong support for this stock is between S2 and S3. Lalo't andun pa yung MA100. And for the resistance ng AUB, syempre itataas ko na to. Andito kasi siya previously. So, eto siya sa swing high niya, no, sa 45.50. And then, I'm still going to use yung R2 as the resistance here. But I'm going to consider na this time, no, baka posible na mag-act as resistance itong gap. Because as you can see, dito sa levels na to, nagkaroon siya ng resistance sa 45.50. So, it tells me na nagkakaroon ng possible selling pressure from this area or yung mga malapit dito sa area na to. So, this gap could act as a minor resistance, no, after R1. Pero technically speaking, ito talaga yung R2 kung saan ko siya titingnan. So, ibig sabihin for AUB, I think it will move between R1 and S1 for the short term. Kasi nakikita nyo naman na hindi masyadong clear kung saan yung direction ng AUB, kung pataas ba talaga siya or pababa. Sideways lang siya, pero somehow may nangyayaring volatility. So, as you can see, nagkakaroon siya ng consolidation since second week to third week ng August. And nitong September lang, no, September 10 to 11, siya nagkaroon ng move pataas. And then, bumaba lang din ulit. So, ano yung possible reason kung ba't nagkaroon ng bentahan sa AUB? So, kung makikita nyo dito, may X-date tayo, no, September 19, Friday. So, that's a div rate of 2%. So, from the closing prices the day before, so September 18 yan, nag-close sa 44.80. If we're going to plot a 2% drop here, so ito yung nangyari, no? Nagkaroon siya ng gap down na open because of the X date and walang buying pressure na pumasok and probably some market participants decided to sell na lang din kaya bumaba yung price. Ang mabuti lang somehow sa AUB is that nagkaroon siya ng support. So, yun na nga yung naging S1 natin. And yung MA20 din, no, somehow acted as a support. So, for me, sa AUB, kailangan makalagpas siya ng 45.50 in order for this stock to somehow transition into a short-term uptrend. Pero kung umaasa kayo na aabot yung AUB near 50 levels or pupuntahan niya ulit itong ATH niya sa near 57 price area, I think medyo matagal-tagal pa, no? Lalot na yung mga banks were greatly influenced ng selling pressure, no, in the past few weeks. So, it would take a lot of buying pressure para makarecover sila at mapuntahan nila yung mga peaks or mga highs na nagawa nila before. So, para sa akin, AUB magko-consolidate lang. Worst case scenario, pag nag-breakdown sa S2, S3, hindi natin yan gusto. Definitely, mababa yung pupuntahan niyang price because this is already a strong support. So, optimistic scenario na siguro para sa akin sa AUB pag naabot niya yung 47 to 48 levels, no? Pero I think mahihirapan tong umabot sa 50 in a few days, no? So, kung kaya man niyang abutin yan, baka weeks or months yung pwedeng maging galaw niya. So, next up, BDO. So for BDO, last time I reviewed the stock September 8 and after that review, no, a couple of days nasa loob lang siya nung consolidation na ginawa natin. But somehow, because of the market recovery, so alam naman natin na yung PSEI is pababa. And then in a span of a few days, no, nitong past trading week, ang ganda nung ginalaw ng PSEI. As I've said, nag-breakout nga siya doon sa downward channel move niya. So ang ginawa ng BDO, tumaas din siya. Pero definitely, these moves are unexpected kasi binutas niya lang yung mga resistances, no? So, this level, yung nasa 146, this is supposed to be a very strong resistance kasi kita niya naman may clear na price action tapos nakaabang pa yung MA50. Pero, hindi niya ininda, no? At ang lakas talaga ng buying na nangyari. So, definitely a good move for BDO and nakikita rin natin na nag-act as support somehow yung mga MAs, no, during the run-up. So, ito kasi tumaas yung BDO tapos pumunta siya sa ilalim. Nag-support yung MA20, no, along with the R1. So, na-convert siya into support. And then, yung MA50 naman, tumaas siya dito tapos tumama. And then, eventually, na-overcome niya yun tapos nag-close siya above. Tapos nagkaroon ng sell down nung September 19 at umabot yung price ng 144.20. So, tingin ko din nag-support yung MA50 dito because naging aggressive, no? Yung mga buyers at malapit na, no? Despite the resistance being here. Tapos eventually, throughout the day, talagang lumakas yung BDO tapos tumaas talaga. So, sa ngayon, the MA100 is actually touching, no? Yung taas ng BDO. So, this is not yet clear if this is a MA100 breakout or MA100 resist. So, this coming trading week pa natin malalaman kung magre-resist ba yung MA100 or hindi. Pero yung dapat na abangan na resistance dito is yung R3. So, nasa 153.92 yan, no? Up to 154 price area. Because maraming price interaction dito. Nakikita nyo naman meron tayong previous support and then may current resistance dito na tweezer top. So we're now going to adjust yung levels natin for VDO since nalagpasan niya na yung mga levels before. So of course, R3 will become R1 since yan yung pinakamalapit na resistance. And then there's a possibility na maging resistance din yung 157. So, I'm seeing a possible resistance here because meron siyang ginawang previous consolidation and ito yung kanyang range high, no? So, ibig sabihin, 157 could be your R2. So, medyo makapal nga na resistance yung 154 to 157 na area, no? And ultimately, yung kanyang 52-week high sa 168.44. So, I'm going to plot this as R3. Since this is a previous resistance, yung R2, tatanggalin ko na yan and I'm going to consider this as our S1. And then, yung R1 previously, syempre, gagawin na natin yung S2, yung 137.05, 137.10 na area. And tatanggalin ko na itong mga consolidation and previous levels because hanggang dito na lang yung ilalagay kong support niya, no? Yung previous na S1, gagawin ko ng S3 to. So, ayan yung mga levels na kailangan bantayan for BDO. So, next up, RCR. So, for RCR, I think in terms of price, wala rin naman siyang ginawang different na move because last time I reviewed the stock, September 8, and as you can see, andun pa rin naman siya sa loob ng box as expected. So, sabi natin, mag-move lang siya sa consolidation na yan, no, until magkaroon ng movement na pwedeng magpa-breakdown sa price sa S1, S2 levels or makapagpa-breakout sa stock ng R1 and R2 levels. So, compared to other stocks or other REITs in the market, yung RCR medyo resilient siya, no? So, yung PhilRT or PhilREIT and MREIT talagang bugbog. So, pag-uusapan natin yan maya-maya, no? So, yung RCR, yes, nagkaroon siya ng sell down after hitting the resistance, which is expected because every time malakas naman yung resistance area pag nagkakaroon ng selling, pwedeng after a few days affected pa yung stock kasi may mga nagsisell nga. But the thing I like about RCR, mukhang nagsusupport yung MA20. So, I guess malalaman natin, no, this coming trading week kung kaya bang mag-breakout ng RCR dito sa important levels niya. So, meron kasi tayong resistance sa 8.30 and we have a previous resistance na multi-year high sa 8.50 tapos 8.95, no? And I believe 8.95 na ata yung ATH ng stock na to. So, it's prime to make a 52-week high breakout, no? So, tingnan natin kung hindi magre-resist itong price area na to. So, dapat hindi na to mag-breakdown sa S1, S2 because that would make a very bad look sa RCR kasi ang ibig sabihin niyan pwedeng tapos na yung short-term uptrend and magta-transition siya towards a short-term to medium-term consolidation, no? But definitely, the long-term trend is still intact since kitang-kita nyo naman ang layo pa ng prices sa MA100 and ilang weeks or ilang months na siyang above ng MA100 natin. So, tingnan natin this trading week kung lalakas ba yung RCR para makapag 52-week high breakout siya. So, next stock, APX. So, last time that I reviewed this stock, September 2. And as you can see, we've plotted yung mga previous na resistance levels niya. And as you can see, nagkaroon nga siya ng resistance sa 7.53 to 7.59 levels, no? Because of the ATH near this area. And nung tumaas siya, meron na naman tayong resistance dito sa psych resistance niya sa 8 sa R2. So, nakita niyo naman, yung price umabot ng 8.05 pero nabentahan. And dumiretso pa rin yung stock pataas. But it looks like it experienced a resistance sa 9.59 and near the R3 price levels because the price closed at 8.94 ngayon. So, if you've been following the channel and been watching the stock chart analysis videos for quite some time now, alam nyo naman kung ano yung pinakamalupit na catalyst ng APX, which is of course gold prices. And for the past few weeks, talagang dire-diretso yung pagtaas ng gold. So, tingnan natin yung chart ng gold para makita nyo yung naging galaw ng gold kung bakit tumaas yung APX. So, andito na tayo sa chart ng gold and as you can see, September 2, lalagyan lang natin ng vertical line and from that level, 'di ba? Nag-ATH breakout na yung gold and currently up ba ng 4%. So, 4% in terms of the chart ng gold, pero syempre big deal yan sa mga stocks na nag-handle talaga ng commodities related sa gold. So, balikan natin yung APX. So, tumaas na yung APX because of that move sa gold and nakita nyo naman may onting bentahan na nangyari sa gold for the past few days. So, syempre nag-reflect din sa galaw ng APX. So, ngayon, syempre i-adjust na natin ulit yung mga key levels for APX. So, this price area, R3, tatanggalin ko na yan because ang i-consider ko na resistance ngayon na R1 is yung 9.59 na levels natin. And itong level sa 8, syempre gagawin ko na yung support. So, for me, ito yung pinakamaganda niyang support sa S1. Since wala naman siyang ginawang consolidation dito, no? And R1, before, syempre gagawin ko na tong S2. And tatanggalin ko na yung mga support na level sa baba because para sa akin, irrelevant na siya sa galaw ng APX ngayon. So, yung S1 natin medyo malalim dahil nasa 8 price level yon. But there's a possibility that APX can create a consolidation here if the price levels of gold ay mag-stabilize, no? So, if indeed gold makes a consolidation in the coming days, so I'm expecting na pwede din mag-consolidate yung APX. So if that happens, you can convert this area into the S1 support, no? Tapos ito yung S2 and ito yung S3. Pero sa ngayon kasi, nagkakaroon pa ng sell down and I think if prices of gold go down further from the selling na nangyari nitong past 2 to 3 days, pwedeng hindi na mag-support yung level na to. So, hindi ko pa siya pwedeng makonsider as S1 or a good and strong support area. So, for APX, this means in order for it to go higher pa, above 9.59, kailangan sumabay din yung galaw ng gold syempre at tumaas din yung gold. Kasi kung magko-consolidate lang yung gold and pwede pa siyang bumaba, if ever mag-profit take na yung mga tao sa gold, then definitely that won't be a good look for APX kasi pwede rin nga talaga siyang bumaba. So, ito yung mga importante na price levels na abangan for APX. 8 and near 7.54-55 na price area. So, next stock, FNI. So, for FNI, last time that I reviewed this stock, August 15 pa. And yung na-plot nga natin na resistances during that time is 1.46 and 1.49. And as you can see, August 19, August 20, August 22, talagang nagre-resist yung area na yun. And kung hindi nyo napanood yung news or hindi nyo nabasa yung mga articles, the cause of this drop nung between August 22 to August 26 is because one of the executives ng FNI na-detain siya kasi nagkakaroon ng issue with regard sa nationality niya. So may mga kumakalat na balita na Alice Go Part 2 daw yung nangyayari na one of the key executives or people ng FNI is actually a Chinese na citizen. So of course, alam nyo naman, sentiment driven lalo na pag mga low market cap na stocks. So nagkaroon ng bentahan, no? But eventually, I think they were able to clarify some things tapos nagkaroon sila ng mga pagpalit sa mga executives nila. So of course, FNI nagkaroon ng rebound or recovery, no? But still, we can see na nagre-resist pa rin talaga yung area ng 1.46 to 1.49. So, I'm still going to retain itong mga levels na to because as you can see, nung nagkaroon na rin naman ng sell down, nag-support pa rin naman yung S2 na price area. So, babaguhin ko lang ng onte at lalagyan ko ng isa pang line dito sa baba because I can consider yung 1.16 to 1.13 na price as the range for the S2 support. And then for S1, I think i-retain ko pa rin yung last time na yon. Tapos, yung R1, instead of 1.46 to 1.49, medyo i-adjust ko na to at gagawin ko na siyang R2 sa 1.53. Tapos, yung high dito sa 1.48 yung gagawin ko ng R1, no? So, yung important level dito is 1.48 to 1.53 kasi malakas yung bentahan dyan. But this box signifies the possible consolidation na gagawin ng FNI. So, yung resistance nito sa 1.69, syempre gagawin ko ng R3 yan. Since meron na tayong na-establish na R2 levels. So, for FNI, para sa akin, I don't see it as a very good play sa ngayon kasi hindi ko gusto yung mga naging galaw ng candles niya so far and halos wala namang volume talaga yung stock, no? So, I think magiging optimistic lang ako dito kapag nakapag-close siya above 1.53 and nag-consolidate doon tapos hindi na pumunta sa ilalim. And definitely optimistic pag nalagpasan niya yung R3 resistance natin. So, next stock, MREIT. So, MREIT, last time that I reviewed this stock is August 29 and ano yung na-mention ko doon? Pwedeng magkaroon siya ng consolidation, no? That's why I was able to plot this box right here and alam nyo naman, during consolidations, no, only time can tell kung kaya ba niyang ipa-breakout yung stock upwards or breakdown downwards. So, yung nangyari dito sa MREIT, actually, ang baba pa nung selling na nangyari, no? Nung September 9 and September 10. And as you can see, tamang-tama yung pagka-plot natin ng S1 because nag-support pa yung stock nung September 10. The low of the stock during this time is 14.64 and yung S1 natin, no, andyan. So, talagang sumakto siya dun sa support. Unfortunately, the next trading day, so September 11, nag-breakdown siya sa S1 and kitang-kita na nag-breakdown din siya sa MA20 tapos nagre-resist. So, etong sign na to, ibig sabihin yan, the stock can either make a short-term consolidation since it made a breakdown sa MA20 or pwedeng bumaba pa yung stock further. Tapos, the following day, September 12, you can see nagre-resist talaga yung S1. No? Of course, nag-roll reversal na kasi na-confirm na natin yung breakdown sa S1 and nagre-resist pa siya. So, we can consider that as the R1 already and nagre-resist na nga siya dito. And if you're able to trade the stock with an objective of trend following it, this could have been already a good signal to sell. Kasi nakapag-lock in ka ng profits dyan kung nakapagbili ka man sa breakout point niya at a lower price around June to July. Pwedeng nakapag-tranche sell ka na dito ng onte and sell on the succeeding days since dire-diretso yung pababa niya. Now, if you're an investor and you're looking for dividends sa stock na to, then ibang usapan naman yun, no? Pagdating naman sa investing, iba-ibang timeline naman, no? Yung mga market participants dyan. So, MREIT has already dropped by around 10% from its peak. So, kung investor ka man at naipit ka dito, dapat babalikan mo yung reasons mo for entering the stock in the first place. Kasi kung pumasok ka naman para sa dividends tapos wala namang fundamentally wrong when it comes to the business at sa tingin mo mabibigyan ka pa rin ng mga dividends in the future, then I guess there's nothing to worry about. May mga ibang investors nga na natutuwa na bumababa yung MREIT because mas marami silang shares na mabibili tapos mas marami yung dividends na makukuha nila. Pero syempre, that's the perspective ng mga gustong pumasok ng stock because of a dividend or investor na strategy na pagpasok. Pero if you're going to ask me as a trader, kung pag-uusapan lang natin to on technical analysis na basis, then I definitely don't like MREIT. Kasi saan ka nakita ng stock na sobrang taas na market cap tapos dire-diretso yung pababa, no? So, it's a possibility na wala pa silang nilalabas na disclosure, wala pala silang nilalabas na news or what. Pero since price already tells me that it's breaking down and moving downwards, definitely it's a stock to avoid na para sa akin. And sayang lang because ayos sana yung mga na-plot natin na support areas, no? Hindi siya masyadong lumalayo sa levels na yon. Kaso nako-confirm talaga yung mga breakdown tapos nagiging na siyang resistance. So, I wasn't able to plot yung S3 or yung support 3 for MREIT because I wasn't expecting na in a span of one trading week, kaya niyang i-breakdown yung S2, no? Since these are already strong support levels. Pero, kung na-plot ko yan nun, so kitang-kita naman kung nasaan yung support. So, meron kasi tayo ditong long na consolidation before, and ito yung low ng consolidation na yun. So, if we're going to plot a line here, so kitang-kita naman natin na ito yung S3, no? And ayan yung support level niya at the moment. And we can also consider the S3 as a possible range since meron naman ditong multiple support areas din. So, alam niyo naman na kapag malapit yung mga support areas, it's a possibility na kinoconsider ko yan as a range support. So, in this case, ito yung gagawin kong S3 for MREIT, which is the level of 13.40 up to 13.50, no? So, currently, MREIT is hovering near the support area. So, kita nyo naman yan. Ang tanong na lang is, pwede bang mag-bounce yung MREIT dito or pwede siyang magkaroon ng recovery? So, depende. This trading week natin malalaman kung kaya mag-bounce or mag-recover ng MREIT dito. Pero definitely, this price area is already a strong support So in terms of technical analysis or a trader's perspective, ang nakikita kong pwedeng mapuntahan na price ng MREIT in the short term siguro hanggang dito lang to sa S2, no? Or possibly even until 1370 lang in the short term. Kasi sobrang lakas talaga ng selling na nangyari na to. I don't expect this to instantly go back sa 14.64 levels and above. So, ang dami ng lumabas na market participants sa stock na to. Kita nyo naman, if we're going to zoom out, for the whole year ng 2025, ito na yung pinakamalaki niyang volume tapos selling pa yung nangyari. So, ano ba yung naging cause ng sell down na to? So, a few days back, nag-announce kasi yung MREIT na yung parent company nila, which is of course MEG, nagbenta ng shares, no, ng MREIT amounting to around 2.2 billion pesos. And I think wala pang disclosure or news kung saan nila gagamitin yung proceeds galing dun sa block sale na yun, no? So, since wala sigurong disclosure or walang news kung bakit sila nagbenta, baka yung market participants are speculating that there's something wrong when it comes to MREIT kaya nagkaroon ng bentahan. Kasi kung asset infusion naman siguro yung mangyayari, then I guess there are a lot of market participants na hindi naman siguro matatakot ng sobra, no, sa news na yon, since it's actually a good thing na magkakaroon sila ng asset infusion. Pero ayun nga, medyo confused siguro yung market participants or naging domino effect na lang din yung selling, no? Kasi ang lakas nung naging bentahan nung September 15 tapos nag-breakdown pa sa MA50. So probably nagkaroon ng takutan. So for MREIT, definitely on a short-term downtrend, and the long-term uptrend has already ended along with the medium-term uptrend. So i-adjust na natin yung mga key levels. So for MREIT, supposedly ito yung S3 niya, no, kung na-plot natin. Pero ngayon, syempre, since andito na siya sa levels na to, S1 na siya. And yung resistance natin na pinakauna or yung R1, syempre yung S2 levels na, no? Kasi support siya before and clearly nagiging na siyang resistance. So, gagawin ko tong R1. And syempre yung S1 na levels, yan na yung gagawin kong R2. And yung R1 levels, syempre R3 na yan. So, ang daming resistances ng MREIT, dalawa na very strong resistance levels because they were strong support areas before. Tapos, meron pa tayong moving averages na kaabang. So, ibig sabihin, 5 yung kailangan lagpasan ng MREIT. So, that's why I'm saying I don't see MREIT going above 14.64 price levels anytime soon. Weeks or months, no? Before niya abutin yan. Gaya nga ng lagi kong sinasabi, yung REIT stocks tumataas lang yan, no? 1, 2, 3% every trading week. So, it will take 3 or 4 straight good trading weeks para makabalik yung MREIT dyan. Imposibleng hindi magkakaroon ng bentahan to because aside from these resistances, syempre, magpa-profit take na dyan yung mga bibili dito tapos bibili sa ilalim pa, no, in the coming trading days. So, definitely not good for MREIT. And by the way, yung block sale pala, yung private placement na nangyari sa 13.28 na price area ginawa yun. And nakikita nyo yung low dito is 13.34, no? So, halos inabot niya talaga yung 13.28 na private placement. So, I'm just going to put an indication here, no? Private placement block sale, 2.2 billion. So, as an indication lang. Pero, hindi naman siya significant price level in terms of chart. Ito lang kasi yung naging news. So, next stock, PhilREIT or PhilRT. So, for PhilREIT, last time I reviewed this stock, August 29, and much like MREIT, yung expectations natin sa kanya sa short term is magkakaroon lang siya ng consolidation. So, kita naman natin yan na gumalaw lang yung price between R1 and S1. So, basically, wala tayong babaguhin sa levels ng PhilREIT. Ayun pa rin naman, yung S1, R1, and S2. Nagkaroon na siya ng breakdown, pero as you can see, binawi yung move. And sa ngayon, malapit pa siya sa 350 levels, no? So, pwedeng overshoot lang to, tapos bumalik ulit sa taas yung move ng PhilREIT. Pero, in this coming trading week, kung hindi niya kayang lagpasan yung 350, i-convert ko to sa R1, no? So, lagyan ko lang ng S1, pause R1. So, ibig sabihin S1 to ngayon, pero possible siya na R1. So, pag bumaba pa to further, syempre R1 na to. At ito na yung magiging S1 natin. So sa ngayon, yung nakikita kong strong support ng fill rate itong S2 na pala. And eventually, hahabol na dyan yung MA100. So sa ngayon, fill rate is in a short-term downtrend and it's a possibility na mag-lead siya into a medium-term consolidation, no, since tinatamaan niya yung MA50. So posible na dito mangyari yung consolidation or somewhere above ng previous support niya sa 360 since hahabol yung MA20 dito, no? So, pwedeng dito siya magkaroon ng consolidation. So, nagkaroon din ng bentahan for fill rate. So, much like MREIT, no? Pero, hindi naman sobrang lakas yung naging selling dito because from the highs, down pa lang naman siya ng 5% compared sa MREIT na nearly 11%, no? So, double digits na yung losses niya in a span of a few days. So, fill rate, definitely not good pag nag-breakdown pa sa S2 kasi magiging sobrang tagal ng consolidation nito or ng recovery niya before mabutas ulit yung R1, no? But again, for most of you, I know na pumasok kayo sa fill rate not because of capital appreciation or price appreciation but more on dividends and the fundamentals of the company. So, in terms of technicals, syempre ayoko niyan since nag-breakdown na siya sa MA20 which means the price could make a consolidation nga. And gaya ng lagi kong sinasabi, hindi naman kasi mabilis gumalaw yung mga REIT stocks. So, definitely it's not built for trading solely, no? Because the selling point ng mga REITs is dividends. So, if you're entering or have entered this stock because of dividends, then mas magandang yun yung gawin yung basis ng inyong decision making, no? Compared sa pagtingin ng technicals because for REITs, it's more of a fundamental play. So, next up, Converge. So, for Converge, the last time that I reviewed the stock, September 8, and clearly meron na namang mga naging major differences compared sa last time. So, like I said, I no longer see this stock creating a head and shoulders na pattern, no? Since nasira niya naman yung pattern na ginagawa at nagkaroon siya ng consolidation sa area na to. So, tatanggalin ko na yung na-drawing ko before na possible head and shoulders na pattern. And mukhang inabot niya nga talaga yung levels na binabantayan natin despite it being so low compared to the previous price areas na napag-usapan, no? Talagang inabot niya talaga yung S2 na price level. So, for Converge, it was supposed to just make a consolidation, no, near this area. That's why I drawn a box here already. So, hindi ako nag-expect na magkakaroon pa ng sobrang lakas talaga na selling. So, na-mention ko lang na meron tayong trend line na inaabangan. And pag nag-breakdown siya sa levels na to, then it has nowhere to go but find a better support. And sa S2 nga nangyari yun, no? So, in this case, syempre, yung clear na support level natin is S1 before. And since wala na yan at nag-breakdown na, syempre ito na yung gagawin kong R1, no? So, tatanggalin ko na yung support level na yan. And tatanggalin ko na rin yung consolidation. And meron tayong resistance dito before na R1. So, syempre, R2 na yan ngayon. And itong previous level sa R2, R3 na yan. And yung R3, syempre, R4. So, tatanggalin ko na tong S2 support because clearly na-invalidate na siya. And the current support for Converge is 10.70 which is of course S1 na, no? Also, meron tayong identified resistance dito sa 13.97 to 14 na price area. But it's a possibility na yung trend line mag-act as an immediate resistance also at these levels, no? So, ibig sabihin, sa 13.50 pa lang or 13.58, maka-encounter siya ng resistance. So, ngayon, yung Converge, somehow nag-bounce siya dito sa S1 na support. Pero nagkakaroon pa rin talaga ng bentahan, no? Since at these levels, yung mga sumalo, pwedeng up na sila ng 12, 15, 17%. So, up na yan for a quick gain. That's why nagkaroon na ng bentahan. So, ano yung possible na mangyari for Converge? Pwede niya ulit i-revisit yung S1 support, no? So, posible na magkaroon siya ng consolidation near this area kung hindi na talaga tataas yung price further at hindi na malakas yung buying pressure because I can see that volume is going low, no? And ayun nga, kung lalakas man yung buying pressure, ang kapal ng mga resistances because andito nakaabang yung previous trend line, yung R1 near 14 level, tapos yung MA20. So, definitely not looking good for Converge So this shows us na when big market cap na stocks, no, lalo na yung mga blue chips, hindi ibig sabihin na bumababa siya tapos nagkakaroon ng consolidation, hindi na siya bababa ulit. So hindi ibig sabihin na yung mga stocks bumaba na ng significant levels, dapat ka nang bumili ng marami, no? Tapos ini-expect mo na magbabounce na siya. Because always remember na kahit anong stock pa yan, kahit gaano pa kalaki yan, if there's a fundamental reason na negative catalyst na pwede maka-affect sa stocks, talagang bababa at bababa yan, no? Since selling pressure can be a domino effect, no? Magwa-waterfalls talaga yan. So, akala ng iba, pag bumili ka ng stock na bumaba na yung price levels ng sobra, makakamura ka, no? Yung pala mapapamura ka. So, ano ba yung naging galaw ng Converge, no? So, yung galaw kasi ng Converge, yung price levels niya, no, around July, andito sa 18. And I remember talking about this stock kasi binili ko to sa 24K to 1M challenge na portfolio, and I was able to sell my position, no, around these levels kasi sabi ko, hindi ko gusto yung nagiging galaw ng Converge since hindi siya makalagpas sa consolidation na ginagawa niya. So, binenta ko na to because I needed to cut or I needed to have funds, no, para makasabay sa ibang stock. So, nakalabas ako sa stock na to with minimal losses lang, and imagine, no, if hindi ko binatawan yung stock. So, at these levels, compared sa prices ngayon, no, nag-drop pa siya ng more than 30%. No? So, that's the power of technical analysis and using it as a means to identify if the stock is really going bad or it's going to experience, no, heavy sell down. So, nakakalungkot lang na pag nakikita ko sa social media or sa mga trading groups na a lot of people are recommending stocks na pababa, no? Kasi, ayun nga, mas nagiging attractive daw yung valuation kasi yung price bumababa, wala naman daw fundamentally wrong sa stock at kung ano-ano pa. Tapos ginagamit pa si Warren Buffett as the indicator na kasi sinasabi nga na you should be fearful when others are greedy, no? And be greedy when others are fearful. So, I think a lot of these advices, a lot of these common things are oftentimes misunderstood, no? And ayun nga, nakakalungkot because there are newbies or there are beginners na bago pa lang sa investing. Tapos, syempre, saan ka ba makakita ng advice? Because not a lot of people talk about stocks. Hindi ka naman makakapag-usap sa mga friends mo, di ba? Sa mga family members mo. So, of course, you're going to rely on these so-called investing groups, trading groups, and most of the time, they actually provide bad advice. So, walang personalan, pero sinasabi ko lang yung nakikita kong observation, no, based on an objective thing. Kasi how can you recommend a stock that has already dropped by more than 20-25% tapos sasabihin mong walang fundamentally wrong sa stock, diba? So, ibang usapan na yan. And I even see posts na sinasabi nila natutuwa daw sila na bumababa yung Converge ng more than 20% or near 30% kasi mas marami silang shares na mabibili. So, it's just confusing to me that stocks have already dropped by more than 30%. And sinasabi nila na mas nakakamura na sila at mas magiging malaki yung kikitain nila pag na-reach yung valuation ng stock. But they're not considering na bumaba yung stock ng significant levels. So that means the valuation will also be affected because there's something fundamentally wrong with the business. And in this case, alam nyo naman, isa sa mga negative catalyst ng Converge is Konektadong Pinoy Bill nga, di ba? Na of course, na ginangang KPA. So, syempre, there's going to be more competition sa Converge, no, lalo na at nagsisimula sila ng expansion nila sa mga provinces, no, or sa mga underserved na regions. So if magkakaroon sila ng kalaban because of that bill or yung regulations na yon, then syempre decrease yun sa income nila or decrease sa revenue. So of course, yung valuation nila nung May or July, syempre magbabago yun ng sobra, 'di ba? So nakikita rin natin na yun nga yung nangyayari dito sa galaw ng Converge because hindi naman yan magda-drop ng more than 30% kung walang something wrong sa mismong stock, 'di ba? Maniniwala pa siguro ako kung nationwide or buong market pababa talaga ng sobra tas lahat ng stocks damay, no. Pero you can only only single out some of these stocks na bumababa ng ganito. So, there's a big chance na there's something fundamentally wrong sa mga stock na to. So, ayun lang, no? Be extra careful, no? Please, take care of your investments and take care of your money. Huwag kayo basta-bastang maniniwala sa mga nababasa nyo sa social media tapos mga napapanood nyo. Even ako, I always say, di ba? Yung mga napapag-usapan natin dito sa stock chart analysis, hindi to guaranteed, hindi to 100%, no? Because the stock market is all about probabilities and 70-80% of the time you're seeing na tumatama yung mga analysis natin dito, yung mga projections natin. But still, don't take this as 100% na tama. No? You should also do your own research, read other things na credible, so you can make an intelligent and well-informed decision na hindi lang isa yung source nyo, no? Don't treat the things that you read as 100% sigurado. So, always supplement yourself, no, with more and credible and better knowledge para naman mas magiging maganda yung mga trading decisions or investment decisions na gagawin nyo moving forward. So, for Converge, if this makes a breakdown pa sa S1, then sobrang lalim na naman ng next possible support niya, no? So, the last support that I can see here is itong level na to. So, meron siyang previous swing low dito sa 9.86 na level. So, of course, ito na yung gagawin kong S2. And it's also a possibility na magkaroon tayo ng minor support sa 10 because that's your psych support. So, pwede nating masabi na yung support is any price between 9.88 and 10. So, next stock, Ion. So, Ionix Incorporated, last time I reviewed the stock, August 15. So, lagpas isang buwan na. But as you can see, not that much difference. Ang nangyari lang, nag-overshoot lang sa ine-expect ko na consolidation niya, no? Pero ganun pa rin naman, nasa consolidation pa rin siya. Lumaki lang talaga yung box because hindi napigilan ng MA20 yung prices to go down further at yung nagiging niyang moving average na support is yung MA50 nga. Pero wala pa rin naman siyang napupuntahan na significant price levels na na-plot ko before. So, ibig sabihin, isang buwan na rin pala tong consolidation, no, since it didn't make any significant moves. So, for me, wala namang difference. Ayan pa rin naman. R1 and R2, same. S1, S2, and S3 for me is still a range. However, I can see a swing low sa area na to sa 0.89. But I'm considering it as a minor support lang at S1 talaga yung strong support. But in the event na i-revisit niya ulit itong support na to sa lower part ng range niya, i-upgrade ko to sa S1 because if this creates a double bottom sa short term, then I can consider it already as a strong support. So magiging S1 to, S2, and S3. And of course, this will become S4. Pero sa ngayon, ayan pa rin yung price levels natin. So, basically, for Ionix, ang inaantay siguro nito is magandang catalyst talaga, no? Para mapa-breakout siya sa 1 and 1.02. Because I don't think nagkakaroon ng significant catalyst, no? With regards sa electronic parts or electronic components na industry. So, yun din yung nakita ko sa IMI and Tech, no? Nagkaroon lang siya ng uptick or up move dahil doon sa sentiment na yun. Pero mukhang nag-die down yung sentiment. That's why wala ring nangyaring magandang play sa mga stocks na yun. So, short-lived yung sentiment. So I think it would take a very fundamental thing sa Ionix mismo dapat manggaling, no? Whether may makakreate silang bagong product or what, or bagong service, or magi-increase yung earnings nila, no? To make the market participants become interested sa stock na to. Kasi kung walang mangyaring catalyst, I think wala ring papasok na volume sa stock na to para ipa-breakout siya sa 1 and 1.02. Pero sa ngayon, andun pa rin tayo sa medium-term and long-term consolidation siya. And it's possible na nagkakaroon siya ng transition into a short-term uptrend. Pero hindi ko pa inaasahan na magtutuloy-tuloy kasi ang lapit pa niya sa previous range na ginagawa niya, no? Tapos, hindi ko gusto na sa lower part siya ng range nagkakaroon ng consolidation. Maganda sana na yung consolidation niya is above 0.96, no? Below 1. So, gusto ko sana yung consolidation niya dito. Para at least pag pumasok yung buying pressure, medyo malapit at madali lang siyang ipa-breakout sa 1.02. So, next up, Plus. So, for Plus, last time I reviewed the stock, September 12. So, it's been a few days, no? lagpas isang trading week. And ano yung na-mention ko dito last time, the support is S1 and S2, and I think it would be a strong support, no? Kung matatandaan nyo, nilagyan ko lang ng green arrows around this area sa near 22 na price level because I don't consider it as a strong support at S1 talaga. And nagkaroon nga ng breakdown eventually. And dito siya nakahanap ng support talaga, no? And sa ngayon, nagkaroon siya ng resistance after the price rally nung September 16. And currently, no, yung upper part ng trend line talaga yung nag-act as the resistance. So, ito, nagkaroon siya ng breakout, pero hindi ko na ito mako-consider as a very good breakout since may na-establish tayo na bagong resistance. So, ito kasi yung R1, and ang gagawin ko, itataas ko na lang to because the resistance is here sa 25.10 na, no? And tatanggalin ko na itong mga previous levels na yan. So, like I said, yung plus is somehow creating a descending triangle, and madalas ko ang sinasabi, 50% to 75% of the pattern, the price already makes movement, and hindi necessary na abutin talaga niya yung space. So, andito tayo sa lagpas ng kalahati, no? Nearing 75% of the move. That's why we already saw na nag-price rally yung plus. So, somehow, that's a good thing kasi hindi naman siya dumiretso papunta sa S2 at nag-support talaga yung S1. So, now we've established a double bottom support. So, if you're able to buy plus at these levels, then congrats because you're probably up already by more than 20%, no? Sa levels na to near S1. So, nasa 26% na yan. So, it really depends sa objective nyo sa plus. If you're bullish towards the news na mag-open na daw sila sa Brazil or somewhere sa Africa pa ba? Meron pa ba silang ibang bubuksan? Pero yung nagpa-hype kasi ng stock na to is yung move nga na yun, no? Yung sinasabing mag-open na nga daw sa Brazil. And related din sa stock na pag-uusapan natin after this, which is Bell Corporation. So for plus, watch out sa plus sa levels na to, no, yung 25.10 or 25.1 because may resistance dyan and nakaabang na rin yung MA50. So, for me, this is a strong resistance area since nakaabang yung MA50 dyan. But I'm seeing that volume is picking up, no? So, it's a possibility na malagpasan niya yan kung sobrang lakas talaga ng buying pressure. So, kung ako siguro nakapag-trade ng stock na to, pag nag-resist around this area, probably magta-tranche na ako dito or magsasell ako ng a few shares just to lock in the profits, no? Para sigurado lang. Kasi kita nyo naman dito sa plus, every time nagkakaroon ng run-up, nagkakaroon agad ng bentahan, diba? So, sa mga stocks na biglang binabawi yung mga moves, no, hindi na masama na magkaroon ka ng onting sell sa areas kung saan nagkakaroon ng malakas na selling pressure at resistance, no? Just to lock in those profits. Kasi hindi naman pwedeng nasa 30% gains ka na tapos yung stock is, alam mo in the first place na nagkakaroon ng sell downs after niya mahit yung resistance. Tapos hindi ka magbebenta ng onte, no? So, like I said, kung ako yung mag-approach ng stock or ng trade na to, ganun yung gagawin ko. Pero syempre, ibang usapan na yan kung nag-invest ka talaga or investing ka for the long term tapos naniniwala ka ng sobra sa company. Pero para sa akin, ayan pa rin yung mga levels ng plus. Nagkaroon lang ng onting adjustment because nagkaroon siya ng recent swing high sa 25.10. So, next stock, Bell. So, sabi ko kanina sa plus, a possible reason why nag-increase siya aside sa Brazil opening nila is because of this stock, no? So, nagkaroon kasi ng disclosure or ng news na usap-usapan na yung DigiPlus. So, they're expecting already na bababa yung revenue nila sa Pilipinas. So, they want to be able to diversify their income source. At ang isang pwedeng gawin nila is mag-invest sila, no, sa gambling na physical talaga. So, may physical location. And lumabas nga yung news na they're planning to buy into Bell Corporation. So, siguro kaya tumaas yung plus this past few days because nakikita nila na pwedeng hindi pala ganun ka negative or affected yung revenue na nakikita nila kasi may plan B naman pala yung plus. And as you can see dito sa Bell Corporation, tumaas talaga yung stock kasi nga usap-usapan yung buying na mangyari. And whenever a bigger company acquires a small company or smaller na company like this stock, madalas nagkakaroon niya ng mga tender offer eh. So that's why nagkaroon siguro ng hype to tapos ng sentiment. That's why nagkaroon din ng mataas na buying, no? So from the prices nung September 18, the price increased by 34%, no? Only for it to have a sell down tapos nag-close na lang siya sa 1.69. So if you're able to buy near the lows, that's up by 22.47% already. So there's already drawings here pero walang vertical line. So hindi ko alam kung kailan ko huling napag-usapan tong Bell Corporation. But since the levels are here, tapos meron naman tayong nakalagay na R1 dito, I think na-review ko siya ng first week ng August kasi yung resistance andito pa. Or possibly July. So, I'm not really sure. Pero, the levels still are significant. So, kita nyo naman, ilang beses talagang nagsosupport yung Bell Corporation dito sa S1. So, nagkakaroon siya ng overshoot around last week ng August pero nababawi pa rin niya. Until eventually, nag-breakdown siya ng September 10 tapos nakahanap talaga ng support dito sa S2. So, nakikita nyo naman, nag-bounce siya twice, no? Nung September 15 and September 16. Tapos, tumaas siya ng onte and nagre-resist yung previous support sa S1. So, nangyari yan because nagkaroon na nga ng breakdown. Siyempre, yung S1, magiging na siyang resistance. And then, ito nga, nung Friday, tumaas talaga yung stock ng diretso only for it to experience a selling near R2. So, nag-breakout siya sa R2 pero nagkaroon ng selling, no? Since very strong resistance nga to. And tingnan natin dito sa 1.85 kung bakit nagkaroon din ng resist dyan. So, ayun, meron pala tayong previous support. That's why nagkaroon ng selling. So, yung 1.77, gagawin ko tong R1. And yung 1.85, gagawin ko tong R2. Tapos, para sa akin, yung 1.53, gagawin ko na tong support. So, S1 support na yan. Tapos, yung previously dito sa ilalim, syempre gagawin ko ng S2. And itong price level sa S2, gagawin ko na tong S3. So, para sa akin, clearly wala pang established na trend yung Bell Corporation. And I think wala pa naman guaranteed na sinasabi no, na bibilhin talaga. Mukhang nag-uusap pa lang tapos speculation pa lang yung nangyayari. So, I think magiging volatile itong Bell Corporation in the coming days leading up to the finalization ng deal kung tuloy-tuloy nga yung mangyari na yun. No? So, malalaman lang natin yan in the coming days since hindi naman natin kontrolado no, kung kailan sila maglalabas ng mga disclosure at mga news. So, ang kailangan lang abangan dito sa Bell Corporation, syempre yung mga key price areas pa rin, no? Kasi habang wala pang nilalabas na mga fundamentals, wala pang nilalabas na mga disclosures, ang magiging basis ng karamihan or majority of the market participants will of course be these levels. So, it really depends kung saan ka nakakuha ng stock na to. If you're able to buy during the support nung August or the support nung first week September or second week September, then congrats. Because at these levels, you're already up by more than 15%, no? So, nearing 21% nga yan. So, definitely that's a good thing. Medyo mahirap lang dito kung nakakuha ka last year pa. So, 2024 kasi that would mean ipit ka pa, no? At ang best choice mo is to make a break even at these price levels or kung magiging malakas talaga yung galaw ng stock, pwedeng lumabas ka pa na may onting gain. So, definitely monitor the news kung lalabas man yun na matutuloy yung deal. Kasi kung maka-cancel out yan, I think babalik lang din ulit itong Bell Corporation sa baba. Because the only reason why tumaas yan kasi dahil dun sa positive catalyst. So, kung walang mangyari dun sa catalyst na yun, syempre magkakaroon lang din ulit ng bentahan yan at pwede niyang i-revisit yung mga level sa ilalim. You can click the link towards the left para maging member kayo ng membership group ng channel na to, which is the Momentum Tier, where I share my watch list and my 24K to 1M challenge na portfolio. So don't forget to like this video and subscribe sa channel. And ayun lang. So thank you for watching this video.